Now let's talk about possession. Possession as well has a major role to play in identity formation. Perhaps you've heard someone being described as known for the latest technology or anything money can buy. Not necessarily because those things give primary sources, but they are acquired in connection with secondary sources. And when it comes to possessions generally is a function of belief, which as well is a function of powerful conditioning and as well a function of paradigm. And when one has this possession identity personality, then you realize that such possessions or acquiring those possessions would as well go a long way in determining such person's identity. Take for instance, when you talk of possession, you talk of needs and you talk of wants. There are instances in which when you talk of needs as well, there are some things that could be affordable, and while there are some things that are not affordable. And when it comes to wants, there are things that are affordable and there are things that are unaffordable. When someone actually needs something and he actually couldn't afford it, but he was able to raise some certain fund to be able to meet up with such need, that is perfectly a good example of someone living from the perspective of one's need. But in a situation whereby one couldn't afford some certain things and one could afford some certain wants, not need this time around, but wants, and one actually could afford it, and the person go ahead and buy those things. That is perfectly okay. But in instances where there is wants and the person could not afford it, but the person went ahead and see how best he could acquire those wants in order to be able to satisfy perhaps his contemporaries or perhaps people within his niche, no doubt about the fact that such would alter his identity, because ordinarily those ones might know that he or she doesn't have what it takes to afford those things, but because he wants it and he wants to have an identity in relation to those within his contemporary, he went as well, go the extra mile. And in situations, you see some people going into deep debt, which takes years before they could even build themselves out of it. Or in one way or the other, they might not even be able to get themselves out of it. And in most instances, some of those debts aren't a function of someone's need, but more like someone's want, sort of. So no doubt about the fact that possession has a major role to play when it comes to identity and when it comes to identity determinant. So at every instance, you want to ensure that your possessions isn't really a function of, you want to actually determine your identity in relation to your possession, to be sure that whatever it is what you are possessing in terms of your possession is in synchronization with how well you would love to be represented.